Welcome to the Grumpy Man. Steve Grooves and Bobby May. What's good?
What's going on out there?
All right, we got a special guest on the line, the esteemed author, educator, and many other things, Carol Smith. Introduce yourself, please.
Well, hello, everybody. As Corey said it, wow, I feel so blessed. So cool, like nice title, esteemed author. I'm an aspiring esteemed author, as I would say for myself, because I feel like I haven't written enough to earn that title, but I'm working towards it. And an aspiring filmmaker with all these ideas in my head that have yet to come out. So I figure if I talk about it now,
all of that.
you know.
Let's touch on all of that. Absolutely.
Okay.
So since you started off with the author piece, to be an author in your eyes, how many books personally do you feel like you need to write in order to reach that status that you're talking about? Because that's your own bar that you set.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's see. I have 3 out so far and 1 anthology. I'm thinking 10.
Ooh. 10?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot.
You know why? Because, it's a lot of books, but I believe, like, with each book there should be growth. Okay. So, a Toni Morrison, I am not. A Tony Bambara, I am not. But I'm in the process of becoming a better Carol as far as, writing is concerned, So I feel like the more I read and the more experiences I accumulate, then the better I'll become. And I don't think I'm nowhere near that. And that's honest truth. That's not even me tearing down. It's just one of those things like I have to keep perfecting this craft.
Okay. So can you tell us the name of the 3 books that you've written so far?
Yeah. Okay, so starting with the first one, the scrapbook, which, when did this come out? I want to say this came out in like 2006, 2007. And then after that was A Big Bowl of Soup. And then the one that's out, you guys can always go on Amazon and check them out. Then the anthology came out with Corey, Urban Mindscape, which was a compilation of myself, my grad school girlfriends. Corey got in on it too. It's a good book.
Yes,
great read.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, yes, it is. A lot of deep stuff going on in there. And then Enigma is out, and Enigma is actually part 1 of a trilogy. Okay. So this one is, if anybody has read the other books, it's a totally different direction in that it's a lot, not that all the other books weren't me, but this one is like raw thoughts. All the other books before I wrote with keeping in mind, okay, if my family reads this, they're probably going to have prayer sessions for me, or if I publish this, my friends are going to look at me differently. That was the books in the past. Enigma is like, it is what it is. There's a lot of sensuality, there's a lot of realism, there's a little bit of everything in Enigma, and I stand behind it. But it took a while to get from scrapbook to Enigma. So
that's the growth you're talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, what style of writing would you consider Enigma?
I don't think there's just one though, because there are prose pieces. There are a few rhyming pieces. I want to say it's like it's kind of like gumbo. A little bit of everything is in Enigma, but it's not messy. From what I've read from reviews from Amazon, a lot of people actually thought that you could see the growth in the book. And I didn't do that intentionally. For me, it was just writing, and like even with the table of contents, there was no deep thought behind it. It was just like, okay, so if I wrote something in January, let's say 2016, that's the first poem. You know, the only thing that was intentional, the first poem actually has there are 3 stanzas in that one poem, but it was broken up throughout the first, I want to say, I think 10 poems. So there's that continuum, but for everything else, and it wasn't like I wasn't being lackadaisical either. It was just one of those, okay, I wrote something in January, I wrote something in February, I wrote something in June. You know, as it hit, that's how.
You know, the way that
Enigma?
When you follow, all of them. You know, but I'm gonna work my way backwards. I'll say, you know, okay. Enigma, like you said, in the beginning, you know, it takes you one, you know, you read it, and then you start going in a direction. You following. That's the funny thing about poetry. When you start following the ideas of the author, and they take you someplace, you could get trapped because you thinking it's going to be, I know where she's going, I know where he's going, and you'll end up waiting for the follow-up to this particular piece, and then the next one is over here, like a roller coaster, but mental, like, oh, wow, I need to catch up. So when you catch up, you know, you feel like, you know, I'm back again. It was deep, you know, and I know people throw that word around, but, you know, when you start reading pieces of somebody's soul, and if you're an actual reader, it's going to change you. You know, even if for a couple of days or whatever, like you have to look into the mind of that author. And when I say, you say, oh, I only wrote 3 books, but the depth of the books, they matter. Because I've read other books from, you know, other authors, and, you know, they just put something out just to put it out. That's like a quantity thing, whereas you put out quality work. And, you know, it should be recognized as such. No, I mean, because it's true. I mean, it's not an easy thing to, first of all, if it's not, Bobby, we from hip-hop, so when I think poetry, I need to see a rhyme. You know what I mean? But,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So that's just embedded in my brain. So when I'm reading pieces that they don't necessarily rhyme, but they make sense. So I said, damn, all right. It felt like a novel, but it's poetry. But it's your now. How do you separate? I always wanted to ask you this question, and other authors too, but specifically, how do you separate yourself from what you write? Because, like you said, when people read your stuff, and you know your friends might look at you crazy, your family's gonna be like, "Well, when did you go through that? When did this happen?" You know, how do you separate the author from you? But that's you. You wrote that. You wrote it because it came from inside. How do you separate that?
So that credit actually goes to my elementary school teachers who allowed me to just write once they realized, you know, you would get that homework project over Thanksgiving, you know, you had to write like an essay on, you know, like what does it mean to be blessed? And everyone is turning in like a page and a half. And this is back when we didn't have printers, you know, you had to get on the typewriter or write everything out. I would turn in 5 pages, you know, and my teachers were like, yeah, you know, they look like,
you got a lot to say. You got a lot to say.
You know, but the beauty of it, which shout out to PS91 Mini Building all day, had to say that because I had some of the best teachers in elementary and middle school, especially English, when they saw whatever it was that they saw in me. A lot of teachers could have said, you know what, Carolyn, we asked you for a page and a half. I don't need, you know, all this extra. They, in turn, you know, parent-teachers night would come up and they would say to my parents, you know what, you need to get her some books because she's developing a writing style that we like, and what do you guys do at home? I used to sit at home and listen to Disney records. Like, you know, you had like the, were they the 33s or the 78s? They were like the 78s, and it came in like a huge, you know, album with the story. So I used to force my sister to sit there and listen with me. So I would listen to the story, and I'm reading the story, like say it's Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs or whatever, but as I'm hearing it, I'm writing my own story. So it started, all of that to say, it started at an early age where I was able to like develop characters, or at least begin to try to develop characters that probably sounded like myself, but they weren't, right? And I used to play with dolls when I was a little girl, so all my dolls had a different, you know, they were different characters that I would write the story and then have them act it out. So it started from that. And then it just continued, especially in grad school. I had two professors who would, you know, hone in on the fact that, oh, wow, you actually develop characters. So I need you to develop different voices now, because at one point they were all sounding like myself. And they're like, okay, that can't happen. So you have to create these people in your mind and literally like draw 3D characters of people and what do they look like and what, you know, what do they listen to, everything from how does this person dress. And it could start off where, you know, I have my friends and I'm patterning characters after them, but eventually they have to become people so that when you read the story, you can almost see this person. You know, like Corey, for example, if I created one of my male characters after you and you're reading it, you're supposed to see this Brian character. You're not supposed to see yourself. You may see bits and pieces that you can relate to, but you're supposed to come away like, oh, wow, okay, yeah, I think I met this dude before. Or, you know, he sounds like someone that I could sit next to on the train, you know. Right. So it started from, I want to say that began in elementary school, and it just kept developing. And I would read books on how to develop characters. And to be honest, I never thought that I mastered that very well, because like I said, you know, I would take bits and pieces from people that I know and from myself and try to create a different voice. But because, like you said, because it's me, at the same time, I'm like, yeah, people are going to read this and know that this is me. But, you know, hopefully I did decent enough.
Great.
You know, okay. I just hope I did a decent enough job where you saw the other person. The character.
Right, because looking at the character development, like, that's a weak area for me, you know, because I'm a raw, gritty writer, like, right? If the person stepped in shit, you know, I'm going to say that. You know, whereas, you know, the way somebody developed a scene, somebody would lay out a whole scene for you, and then, you know, yeah, you stepped in the shit, but they ain't going to just focus on that. Like, you went all around it. You know, like, that's how. Yeah. So, as I'm moving backwards, I'm going, the Urban Mindscape Project, you know, that was something that was, I don't know, that was being developed from a long time before we even, you know, got together and came up with how many people are going to be involved. I want to say that was a special project because it was, you know, 5 individuals that came together on a template. And if you ever work with different people, you know how almost impossible that is to put something together. If you look at the hip-hop industry, if you see, like, only Wu-Tang was able to really master that, you know, a whole bunch of people coming together. And it was like, they a crew. Like, they all together. Like, but yeah, they separated. But the way that when you read that book, it just takes you into different people's worlds, and they end up meshing. And there was a lot of Brooklyn style in that book.
That's what made the book so good.
That's what made the book so good. Right. Even
you know, Rob is always going to rep for Brooklyn no matter what.
You know, if I had thought about it, maybe we should have caught like an ill Brownsville scene, you know, one of the old brownstones that used to be in the back of East New York back there. You know, one of them buildings. But
there's always part too.
That book was interesting because it was different people, but the way it came off, all the stories that were being told was like, it's, you know, if you didn't know it was 5 different people, you probably wouldn't have known that it was 5, because the way the stories came together and the way it was done, it was like, okay, this is you know, it was good reading. I mean, I gave that to my kids to read, and you know, they enjoyed that shit. My daughters really, my older two really, it was like, okay, You know, I was like, this is Corey. They was like, Corey, he right? They was like, yeah, he right.
Yeah, Corey was very good at keeping that under wraps. Even at John Jay, you know, we used to sit to blow your spot up for a minute. See, I mean, I'm sure Rob knows the story, but we used to sit in the gym and talk, Corey and I.
Right.
And he had a composition book full of poetry, and I was like, what? You know, like, get out, me too. And, like, we would just talk about that stuff, and what was that? I want to say 1991. Corey, why don't you publish? Nah. 1992, Corey, why don't you publish? Nah. Like, come on. Like, you know, he would bring these stories to life, and I'm like, you know, and back then it was very hard to crack into publishing, but still, you know, you had, I just didn't walk around and tell anybody, oh, you need to publish, oh, you need to film. You know, I would read something, and if it was moving, then I'm like, you need to put this out there. You know,
right.
Thank God
we
did that.
had those conversations. And I think that's how Urban Mindscape really came along. So, you know, when you start reading everybody else's material, you know, and there was, you know, some great authors on there, you know, Iran and, you know, Mary E. Walker, like she's phenomenal. I like Iran. Don't get me wrong. And Goldie is great too, you know. Let me get on Goldie for a second, because her stuff is short, but kind of like she's to the point too. You know, like her stuff. When I understood her situation, she didn't fully open her whole self up, because just like the example that you gave before, she was kind of like hiding, like, well, I don't really want them to know that I write this. And my family thinks something like this. So you could see that. So we kind of hid that in between. So if you read through, it would be like, all right, this is a short one. Yeah, this is nice. Get to a long poem. You know, she was like the bridge. We're going to take you from this to this. You know, so that's how we had to use that. But it was one. I'm going to ask you what's your favorite poem that you wrote yourself. But the best, the one that hit me the hardest from that book was Mary E. Walker's You Mad I Rap. Because that just reminded me of, like, the female rappers of today. You know, where you don't really want to know my style. Like, she was coming like, yo, what the fuck? I said, damn. Okay.
Yeah, Mary's a beast. They're all beasts in their own right, but Mary is a beast. Yeah.
So y'all all met in grad school. That must have been an interesting ass grad school. You know, seriously.
And I told you I have another. Yeah. Our professors were just like, okay, you know, and there's another one, Z, who has not published yet, and we're still waiting on her masterpiece. If you read her poetry, if she were on this, she would have been the Red Hook voice of Brooklyn.
All right.
And what? Listen, I hope they get to hear this. She takes poetry to another level. There are times we would read each other's work, and we would just sit there and look at each other like, okay, I want to be like you. It was one of those things, you know, where you're just like, okay, well, what am I doing? I have to step my game up. You know, for fun, we used to just send emails with one line and be like, finish this, you got 6 minutes. Or finish this, you know, continue this, you have 2 minutes. Before Facebook came out, we would just send an email to each other. It's like, all right, up next, Mary. And Mary would just blow it out the water. And we're like, come on, man, I got to go after this.
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like, you know, all right, because I know we talk about a lot of things on here, but definitely hip-hop is one of our central themes you know, on the show. And when you start talking about poetry, hip-hop, rap, you know, well, not hip-hop specifically right now, but rap. When you start talking about poetry and rap, I start looking at, unless you're really nice with your linguistics and what you're saying as a rapper, I look at a poet as a higher plane. Like, a rapper wants to be a poet, but many of them don't have the master of the language to make you feel what they're saying on the different layers moving up. And so when I'm thinking about y'all, like I'm visualizing, y'all in grad school, four ladies doing their thing. Y'all all have skills, and y'all could have been pioneers of that era. But you know how it was back then with hip hop, and even today, it's hard for. First of all, it's hard for a group to stay together,
right.
because of various things. We know that part, but your skill levels show out in the book. So, what was we all got a favorite piece, from the book or whatever, our own personal thing. What was yours when you wrote that book? Because it was like, I shouted out Brooklyn before because Brooklyn was a theme. A lot of people, I guess they picked that up. Brooklyn was definitely a theme, okay? So we all had to write a Brooklyn piece, you know what I'm saying? But, so what was yours? Because it was one that struck me. You shouted out every neighborhood in Brooklyn, even the smallest one. And I said, damn. I said, so I had that feeling. How the hell am I going to follow up behind this shit? She shouted out every neighborhood. She did this, and Mary did that. And I'm going, wow, what the fuck? But so what was yours?
Actually, Corey, that is Straight Brooklyn was my favorite. I had two. It was Straight Brooklyn first, and then Sins Uncovered, even though I totally made Sins Uncovered up. But Straight Brooklyn, it's like now anyway, homage to Old Brooklyn, because I don't know what this is right now. But when I grew up, when hip-hop was first coming out, I'm not going to rap it for y'all, but I remember in 7th grade, you used to cut the beat on the lunch table, or you remember we had those they look like blue denim loose leaf binders, where if you took a pen and you scratched it on the top, you would hear that, just a little bit of that. We used to do that at lunch. So it was girls against the boys. We would go home, write these battle rhymes, come back, and instead of going outside to play, you're like going back and forth. So there were like 3 of us versus like 6 guys. And back then, Roxanne Shante came out with her diss response to UTFO. So I'm there listening to her on my Walkman on the low because, I was born and raised in a Christian household. You're not supposed to be listening to that. But anyway, I was listening, and I'm like, oh, the ROXANNE, the CAROLY. And I'm writing all this down like, ooh, okay. So I'm like, going back and forth, listening to her and listening to Salt and Pepper and trying to craft my own little diss response to these raggedy boys in the lunchroom. But when I started writing Straight Brooklyn, it's just like, that's, it was that era, early mid 80s, and you could kick the beat on your binder or even the lunch table, and you could sit there and just run your pencil down writing all this stuff. It was fun, and Brooklyn had its own vibe back then. It wasn't trying to be Manhattan Junior or anything, and no disrespect, it's just every borough had its own flavor, and you knew you could get certain things throughout various parts of the city just by, you go to Delancey Street. You're not going to see Delancey downtown at Albee Square Mall, but you knew what you could get from Albee Square Mall, and I'm not calling it City Point ever. But you know what I mean? It
will
never be City Point. Like, I don't understand what that is.
That's just crazy. That's just crazy. I mean, every time I come back to Brooklyn, I'm like, what is this? Where am I? This can't be home. This is not home for me. I'm like, I can't even get used to it. I'm like, this is not home. I'm like, what's going on? I'm cafes on the corner. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Like, nah.
Really
straight disrespect. It's like, and there's a place for all of that, but it's just like, So.
Yeah. But you were right, though. It definitely had, Brooklyn definitely had it definitely has its own vibe and its own feeling, and when this what they call the new Brooklyn, it doesn't have that. It's like you said, I like that. It feels like they're trying to make it into Manhattan Junior, and by the way, their price and property, it definitely is Manhattan. So, I mean,
yeah.
So, but yeah, I get it. I mean, and that's the thing. Brooklyn gives you so much inspiration to do things because especially when you're from there, it's like, it's a different thing. I mean, I'm sure it's that same way for people in Harlem, where Bronx or wherever part they're in the city, but everybody clings to their part, and it gives them that special feeling and gives them that inspiration to do something that's in them. And I think that Brooklyn definitely in that urban mindscape book. I mean, you could see all Brooklyn in there because it was definitely, besides C, who's from Harlem, he's not really a Brooklynite, but
allegedly.
We'll let
I did a lot of years.
You put in your time, though. That's what you get a pass because you put your time in. You put your time in. The borough. You know what I'm saying? Well,
like third grade on.
I did my time. You put your time. You put your time in. Yeah.
Hell yeah. But that, this, like, I harp on urban mindset just because of the collaboration and the fact that when I watch reality TV, well, when I used to anyway, I always see women fighting this shit. But when this book was being put together, I wasn't getting that. It wasn't no fighting. It was like, everybody need to do like 7-8 poems or 7-8 pieces, and they just started coming in like, I was like, they really serious about it. Okay, there was no dissension, none of that. I said, this is like a unicorn. You got 5 people working together on a book, the anthology, and I'm like, that doesn't exist. Not to put. I'm just thinking about all of the major poets that have been out there. If you take a Toni Morrison and Angela Mayu and, try to put them together in a piece, that was where my brain was. Like, this is a ode to them. It's homage to them, to bring people together. And I just liked how it came out, and I just learned something new. Even though, I'm from the borough, I spent a lot of years there, like, you just learn something different. Everybody's experience is different. And then, I was the only dude. So, me, I guess coming into it, I have my own, I'm thinking it's going to be like, some women, woman friendly and all of that. I got my own personal biases. Like, it's just going to be some, what's the word? Not feminine. It's going to be real soft and, violent. And the shit was hip-hop. So when I started reading it, I realized, this is hip-hop right here. This is real shit. And
that's why I had to pass it on. I had to pass that on because I was like, okay. Because I remember when you sent me the book, and I was like, okay, who's this? And I was like, okay.
Because he had the same attitude.
I was just like, I'm being biased because I'm like, all right, I know C. I'm like, all right, I know C. Then he's like, that's Carol. I'm like, Carol who? He's like, Carol from the J. I'm like, Carol from the J. She right? He's like, she a writer? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. I was like, okay. Let me read that. Let me check it out then. Let me read. I know 2 people in the book, so I'm like, okay. Then I start reading. I'm like, okay. This shit is hard right here. I like this. Okay. So that's why I was like, I gave it to, that's why I passed it on to my kids. Like, check this out, man. This is some good reading. Y'all gonna dig this, And they did. I was like, okay. But yeah, it was definitely something new for me because I was like, because he was like, I was like, this is a poem book because I don't read poems, man. I don't really like poems like that, bro. He was like, nah, it's not like that. It's more like short stories. I'm like, all right, man. But if it start getting to the poems, I'm not gonna keep reading it. He's like, and once, like you said, once you start reading and you start hearing it start talking, you see the grittiness in it. That engaged me because I'm like, okay, I can feel this. I like this. This is my type of shit. I can deal with this. And you just quickly catch on to it and start and you fall into it. And like, oh, okay, I can read. And you just keep going and you just catch yourself getting cooked and you're like, all right. And you're like, okay, this was a good book. I was like, yeah, this definitely was a good book that, it's definitely a book that probably should be, pushed a little bit more because I think it's something like my daughter's a teacher and I tell her like, you can, I think I know she probably used it in when she was teaching maybe like 6th grade when she was teaching. she was teaching like English, and she teaches, and I gave it, and I told her, try this out. So I mean, it has relevancy, especially now to these young cats, because they need to understand, especially if and it's funny because she's not in New York, but the stories, even if you're from the urban, it relates to you. And if you come from that environment, that hard environment, whether you in Baltimore, whether you in Newark, or wherever you at, you can relate to that, because you're gonna look at it and be like, okay, yeah, that's just how it got similarities to my city. And so
right.
And
even the cover that was from Camden.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a building in Camden.
It was? You need to put that in there. Well, it's a little too late, but get out.
I mean, it's a little too late now, but that was one of the, I used to work in Camden.
I thought that shit was Picking Ave.
It could be Picking Ave too. Like, it did look like Picking Avenue, to be honest with you.
Picking, because if you go over there now, it's looking a little different.
It look different now. Everything. That's what I thought it was. I thought it was Picking Ave, East New York, maybe somewhere in around there, But I didn't.
But see, that's the connection, because a lot of places in the urban pocket have buildings that look like that.
Yeah.
Like lots that's empty. Then you got two buildings with an empty lot, and then everything is gray. It looks gray in the hood, but when you read the book, it's a shining light through the gray cloud. I mean, that's basically what it's supposed to be. And having the ladies on there, they actually, I think, for me, I try to push it, but I think that it's way bigger than what it looks like right now, because that book is going to be around. I feel like I should push it more because of the content, or because of who wrote it, and the skills that was attached to it, and it's relatable no matter where you are. And it's supposed to free your mind, basically, because that's where the concept came from. It was supposed to be the newsletter to just send around. And I'm saying to myself, like, well, nah, I got to be more than that. Then as we started really brainstorming on it, let's get into the film, because I know that that's part of your background too. Like, you're a writer, and when you write, I guess the next level, like screenwriter, is another level of writer. So that's where you develop the characters and the storylines. Go into your film background, because you were always walking around with a camera. Okay, we're talking about 1990. Okay,
yes.
90, 91, like, you had a camera. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had Walkmans. You had a camera. So that's different. Explain the connection, because you're going to connect those worlds. Like, you wrote and then it's a film. Like, I could see a film. Like, when you start looking at the short stories that are now coming on different cable channels, you could make a short story out of Urban Mindscape because of the different characters. Like, you could just see it, the whole thing. Like, Spike Lee needs to do that shit,
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Well,
where does the film come in at? Cause
I want to say I was born with a camera in my hand, because my dad had different types of cameras. He had like the silent, was that like the 8mm or the 5mm silent film. So he used to film. We would go to that, well, it's no longer there, but where Petco is right now on, right before you get to King's Plaza, it used to be the little playground, like the little amusement park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Burger King is there now in Petco.
Yeah.
My dad would take us, my sister and I, every year, and he would film us. And, like, he would just film me, like, when I first learned to walk, my dad is filming all this stuff, and he would show it, like, seasonally, especially on my birthday at my birthday parties. Oh my gosh, everybody had to look in there like, oh, look at little Carol. So, I'm watching all this stuff, and of course, formatting things in my head. But at the time, I was, 4 or 5 years old. It's like you see things, but it played out more like a movie. I'm there, you know, just watching a movie, whatever. My dad was huge with capturing, like he would do these fake interviews with me when I was a kid. Like on my 3rd birthday, he recorded, he's like, hey, Carol, what are you doing? And I'm like answering him and stuff like that. So it started, that's my foundation. And then when I got old enough to ask, Daddy, can I have a camera? That's what I got. So I went, as you said, Corey, I went everywhere with a camera. You know, and it graduated from the little 110 camera to the 26 millimeter to the 35 millimeter, whatever kind of camera my dad had, I got my hands on it, asked him to get me some film, and I was just out taking pictures. Whoa. You know, yeah. So every trip that we went on, I would have to actually ask him where those albums are. But everywhere we went, I'm snapping pictures. And then I moved from the camera to the silent film, and I would take that to the sleepaway camp, the seasonal camp that I used to go to that was affiliated with the church I was raised in. And I'm filming up there. So much so they made me, there was no such thing, they made me drama director because they're like, you're always coming up here with something, put a play together, let's see what you do. It went from like a 10-minute skit to like half-hour drama to like an hour drama, and they were just like, okay, so Carol, this is what you do when you come up here. You're going to be the person to write the plays. Okay. You know, the two things that I wanted to be, and I don't know how I was going to fuse the two, which is why I went to John Jay in the first place, but I wanted to be a detective who wrote plays and films. And obviously,
I'm sitting there like, huh?
How did that connect?
So you was going to write New York Undercover then?
Basically, because I was going to tell you, I used to watch Charlie's Angels reruns in the summer. I used to watch a lot of TV in the summer because that's what I wanted to get into. So all the cop shows, Beretta, Kojak, you name it, whatever came on as reruns, I'm sitting there watching it. And I'm like, okay, so let me try to develop this character, and let me try to do this, and let me try to do that. And I'm like, okay, the only thing I knew, since my parents said that we had to go to college, I'm like, okay, so I'm going to go to John Jay, and somehow maybe they'll have a drama class there where I can fuse the two together. Let me see, my second year there, Professor Michael Blitz taught a poetry class. And he's reading my poems, and he comes to me one day, and he's like, why are you here? And I'm looking at him feeling all like, huh? What do you mean? He's like, why are you here at John Jay College? I said, because I want to be a police officer. He's like, really? And I'm looking at him like, okay, wow, just crush a dream. He's like, no, you don't seem to understand. You, like, we had to turn in, you know, like an anthology at the end of class, and he was going to, like, bind it for us and do all these different things. He's like, I just finished reading your poetry. You don't belong here. You need to find an art school, and that's what you need to focus on. You need to be in the arts. You need to study poetry. You need to study film. You are not, he's like, I'm not saying that you wouldn't make a good cop. You probably would, but you're going to be a better writer than officer. I was like, really? And that's why I transferred, because he was just like, you don't belong here. You need to keep that mind artistic. You don't need to see the underbelly of society, and all of a sudden we're getting these kill everybody kind of, you know, poems. He's like, no, I need you to go.
Yeah, you know, I never knew you transferred from the J. I never knew she transferred. Like, when did that happen? When did that happen?
I started in 92, August 92 at SUNY Plattsburgh. I didn't come back for the fall. Well, you know what? But then I used to come home on, you know, like breaks and stuff, and you guys were still in class, so then I would come up to Jay and hang out, you know, with the crew. That's probably why.
So hold on. Wait a minute. So are you saying that all that time, like 93 and 94, you wasn't at the J with us?
No, I would just visit.
Man, I swear you was in the hallways all the time.
Well, I don't want to say any names who was probably in the hall. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. But, 93, I wasn't there.
You wasn't? Wow.
Nope.
I'm trying to tell you, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
I know I got out of there in 92, but I still came up there. 93, I was still coming up there. But you had a camera all the time, so that's why, filmmaking seemed like it was going to be a natural transition. Yes, we had those conversations of, writing, but the making a film wasn't really in the forefront of my mind, but I could see you doing it because you always had a camera. It wasn't like you was walking around with a Polaroid, like one of those or the throwaway cameras that we could get from the pharmacy. You didn't have that. You had real cameras. And I was like, who walks around with that? Especially at the time when we was in school. I mean, let's not get it twisted here. It was still the crack era. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We was in school during the height of the crack era. So, here you are. You walking around with a $500-$600 camera, or you coming in with a camcorder, which probably back then was probably about $1,000. I'm like, what are you filming? What are you gonna do with that shit? So I remember when you used to come in, because we had different spots. But when you came in, I said, "All right, here she go with the camera." So it was.
I do remember her with the camera, and I used to be like, "Don't take no pictures of me." Dog.
Yeah, I don't want no pictures. I used to hang behind the flower pot. Where the rap skeller was.
Yeah.
We used to all hang over there. When she came with the camera, me and Rob dipped behind the flower pot piece, and we continued the conversation. Let you film the shit or whatever you was doing. I was like, I don't want no parts of that. So
hide behind the newspaper.
Behind the newspaper, all of that. That's where that really came from. Like, I don't want no pictures. But that's when Facebook came around in 2008, 2009. And, people started, posting stuff. And, like, you had pictures. So, post these pictures, like, that's the whole point of it. So, you bringing back, like, oh, shit. I remember that day. Like, because there was the days that you just remember. And being that this is, like, something that was, you were raised to be that. You were raised artistic. You were a writer. You were visual. You know how to create. Is that something, like there are kids out here, the kids of today that are being taught, they're being taught more visual than reading. Like we came up on reading and we learned to create. They're coming up on visual where they're not really reading a lot, but it's more visual. Is film the avenue for this generation? And they don't know it yet. What do you think? What's the state of education in relation to your part in it, being that you are artistic? Is that something that, the same way that your professor told you, you don't belong in this school, you need to be here and honing these skills? Or is that something that you could see yourself doing with this generation here, because they are straight up visual? Like the Instagram and Snapchat, like that's what they do. They grew up in that. Whereas we wrote and we watch TV, but they live TV. They don't know what it's like to not have color TV. They don't know what that shit is.
Yeah, but they also don't know. They also don't know how to put a story together. And this is not a knock. This is
it is. It is a knock. They can't. They can't write. They literally can't write.
Right. Well, we know that.
That part is just like mind blowing to me, but like piecing a story together. Okay, so we grew up on watching dramas, comedies, variety shows. You could watch a Carol Burnett skit and then be inspired, or at least I was, to say, oh, let me see if I could write something like that. Or watch Sonny and Cher was before my time, but the reruns came on. As I said, I watched a lot of reruns of different things. So, for example, I couldn't watch Dallas because it was too mature for me at the time where I was a kid. Right. But if my aunt came over, then I'd watch it. One of my friends in church told me, you know what, Carol, you need to write a play about us. That's all he told me. And I created a Dallas style or dynasty style where there were 12 of us. I split us in half. We were a huge, rich family. 6 of us lived in one mansion. The other 6 lived in the other. And it was a combination of both stories told from the mind of a 12-year-old. So it was like the cleanest nighttime soap opera that you could read, right?
Wow.
But it's because I watched TV, I read plays, I went to see them. There's the continuity in that, right? Where eventually it led me to write or film. Kids today, unless they have those people in their lives, so they're watching a reality show or they're watching something on Snapchat for all of 2 seconds, and that's it. And when it's time for them to create, that's what they're using as their marker. You know, oh, okay, well, we'll just sit down and talk. Yes, but there's a script that you all don't see that even if it's improvisation, somebody still has to say, when I turn on this camera, I want you all to discuss the color purple. Go. They think it's just simple. The camera's on and they just having a regular conversation. No, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that you don't see. But you also have to know that behind the scenes exists in the first place, because then there's that conversation where people just think, oh, what I'm seeing, that's all there is to it. No, television and film it's still here for a reason. It's not somebody just waking up and having a harebrained scheme and going, oh, let's put that on film. There's thought behind it, you know?
But how much of that do you think is, I mean, when you compare how we learned and how they're learning now, how much is that? I mean, like, when we was coming up, like, we had more imagination. Like, I remember growing up, I had imaginary friends. I talked to myself. I did the same things, you know. Now they don't got to do that. They just look at the damn phone and the TVs. So it's like the imagination is gone. So even when you ask them to write things, they can't, and then they can't really comprehend. Reading comprehension is very low now. Like, that was like a stress point when we went to school. You have to know how to comprehend shit. You got to know what you're reading. You read a sentence, somebody asking you. I remember reading, and my moms would be like, what did you just read? Explain to me what you just read. Like, that doesn't happen anymore. So, like, now, how much does the role that, since in schools, like, you know, our school system is just horrible, but how, you know, and they've taken away stuff like the arts, unless you just go to a performing arts school or things like that. You know, how much is that is the problem, like, really taking away from the creativity of these kids?
I would start off by saying their imagination is not being nurtured. So they don't know it exists because they're not even introduced to it. You know, I mean, there's a lot that I could say about the school system on both ends, whether it's charter, public school, or whatever. I just feel like the push to me is not, the push is to have students regurgitate what you just said. It's not for them to critically assess and then spit out an answer. There's no time given for a child to actually think. It's just, that's on the board, okay, that's what I need to say, good. And when you say, okay, well, why did you just write this down? Because you told me to.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yes.
You know, there has to be, right. And it's the child, it's the parent, it's the teacher. You have to have people. I grew up in a village. My neighborhood, which I'm always shouting out Crown Heights and not where I currently live, my neighbor, if it weren't, I still call her Aunt Joyce to this day, if it weren't for Aunt Joyce, I don't know that I would have gotten as far as I did regarding my mom picking the better programs, schools for us to be in and things like that, because my parents migrated to this country, I want to say 4 years before I was born. So there's not a lot that you know in 4 years as far as, you know, you're still trying to learn streets. You're still trying to learn the difference between Brooklyn and Manhattan and Queens and getting out to Long Island and stuff like that, much less other states. So when it comes to schools, you, as far as from what I have heard from immigrant communities, a lot of parents come over here with the notion that my child is going to learn the way that I learned, meaning that they're going to have teachers who have their kids' best interest at heart. And not that every teacher had their best interest from wherever you know, people are from, but the majority did. education was important. It was vital for you to have an education in addition to it was a part of you becoming well-rounded. So they come with this, okay, well, I can send my child to this neighborhood school because one is right here. They have to have teachers that care about my kids. Not necessarily.
No, not at all.
So,
I mean,
right. So my neighbor, God bless her, she was able to tell my parents, okay, you want to put them in the IGC program, which back then today would be considered gifted and talented. She was like, you want your kids in that program. You don't want them in anything else. And again, shout out to Ann Joyce for putting us on that road, because that's how we were able. We had a principal who was vested in her kids. She would see. I still remember Mrs. Spain gave me a book to read. I read the book. It was about yellow ducks. She asked me 5 questions, and I could answer them spot on. I remember her looking at my mother and saying, "And why are you just bringing this child to me?" Black woman. Still to this day.
I mean, but teachers are far. There's no more teachers pretty much like that nowadays.
No.
And
if you find them, God bless them.
I mean,
I'm
in the same boat you're in, because my parents came from somewhere. My parents came from Jamaica to here, to America, right? But the difference, same thing. People told my mother basically, what schools was good and what wasn't good. My mom's, being from Jamaica, they went to private school, so that's all she knew. That's why I went to private school my whole life, pretty much. Like, you going to private school, you ain't going to public school, because that shit ain't no good. You going to private school, because that's the only way you going to be able to learn. And you know, I'm like, I want to go to public school. I want to go to public school. But in hindsight, when I look back now in my older years, and I look at it, I always thank my moms, because it probably saved me and saved my life, because going to private school gave me accountability, because I had, you couldn't just be absent. You had to have a note. You had to you getting in trouble. You had to have, it was discipline, and that was a thing that was big. You needed that. I needed discipline. So, that's where, and being from Jamaica, that's all they knew was like, going to private school was the best schools, and you're going to learn, and, this, that, and, they Catholic, so it was like, you're going to go to Catholic school, and this, that, and, this is what we know. And that's what they followed. And, it worked for my siblings and us. I mean, some of us, at least, I'm going to say, because, but, I mean, pretty overall, that's what we did. That's what they did. That's what most Jamaicans, that's what most West Indian parents come from the islands do. Like, you going here, you're going to either go to private school, or they're going to move to a neighborhood where they got good public schools where you can compete against other kids in your learning ability. Like, you're not going to be, and like, I always look at it like, I couldn't go to summer school. I never been to summer school a day in my life until I went to college, because that was a choice for me, because in my house, if you went to summer school, I mean, you was getting your ass whooped. You didn't do nothing all year. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to enjoy summer then. You're going to get your ass whooped. So,
summer school wasn't an option.
You know what I'm saying? Summer school wasn't an option. It wasn't like, now they be like, you got kids look at it like fun. I'm going to summer school. Your parents got to pay for that shit now. They force kids to go to summer school. You like, pay. That shit was free. Now, no. So it's like, nah. I mean, so it's totally different. And that's why my next question to you is that, how did you find yourself, going? I know you used to be, you was a professor, or I was you a professor. So why did you want to go back into like elementary school? Like, because that's like that's hard.
Yeah, and it has been challenging with, all caps. The reason why I had to go back and even begin the process of certification is because my college freshman students just coming out of high school could not read a writing prompt and understand it to write an essay.
Yep.
And I'm looking at them like, wait a minute. So they're giving me 3 long sentences, 3 run-on long sentences. Miss Professor, that's a paragraph. No, that's 3 long sentences. You haven't given me a topic. You haven't given me a thesis. Nothing. And they're looking at me like, what does that mean? I'm like,
they don't even know what that means. They have no idea. Like, I taught for a brief moment, and I told my wife, like, yo, I'm out. I can't do this. She's like, I'm like, yo, if we depending on these jokers, we in trouble because they can't read. They write like they texting. I'm like, yo, what is this? And I still, to this day, score tests for the states. And I mean, the things that they allow them to get away with, like you'll get a they'll tell me, yo, you're scoring too hard. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean I'm scoring too hard? Like, this shit don't make no sense. Like, what he wrote, well, he did have the beginning. I'm like, he only wrote 1-2 words that let you think he knew what he was saying, but he didn't. The rest of the paragraph was bullshit. He didn't know what he was talking about. So,
and they sit there talking about give them an E for effort. No, that's why we're in the situation we're in right now. And you know what? It would be something if it was, let's just, if it were Brooklyn, then you could say, oh, well, something is wrong with the setup, whatever it is. But this is nationwide.
Nationwide.
To put them on blast and not in a good way, I taught at Penn State, D1 school, right? Division I. Yeah. And there were students who were handing in essays and not indenting the first line of their paragraph, right? Each paragraph. So I would put the arrow and write the word indent on the side. Okay, so when rough draft number 2 was returned to me, they began with indent and then the sentence. I'm like, what is this? And that wasn't us, as in people of color, because I was one of the few people on campus. You could spot me a mile away. That's to let you know we were not on that campus.
Yeah,
and this is a Division I.
We've been to Penn State. I had cousins. My cousin graduated from there. One of my good friends, and it wasn't. If you was what is it called, Valley, whatever. I forgot the name.
I wasn't at the main campus. I was at one of their camp branches.
It was the same way. It wasn't that many. If you wasn't an athlete, you wasn't there. If you wasn't an athlete, you definitely. If you wasn't a black athlete, you wouldn't see too many of us there anyway.
Please.
Yeah,
so if they didn't even know, they didn't know, hello, indent, I'm telling you to indent. No, they began each paragraph that way. Really? And still could not assess the question, the writing prompt given so that they can write a proper essay response. They had no idea how to integrate quotes and how to properly cite. And I'm like, wait, so I've taught at various campuses between New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. And I said, okay, I've got to go back. And where I ended up was middle school last year, because I'm thinking, okay, that's the pivotal grade. You need to catch the 6th graders before, they decide, let me go on to high school or let me drop out. Then I realized, wait a minute, I'm going to have to go back a little further, go back some more, because 6th graders are looking at me like, you want too much, Miss Smith. What you asking me to do all of this for? I'm like, something as simple as a heading. How do you not know how to head your paper? You know what I mean? And why wasn't this taught? Why don't you know how to look at a question, and even if you have to mark it up and rewrite the question in your own words so that it makes sense to you, how come this isn't natural? And that's not to say that this is across the board, but this is what I experienced last year, so much so I got a headache because I was just like, wow. Yeah, it was East New York, but if it was any reflection of what's happening in the rest of the country, it's sad overall. We're not teaching our kids to use their brain.
Not at all.
Not in the capacity that they could.
It's definitely nationwide because, my wife, she used to do the ETS, and she used to grade and they would send prompts and things like that.
Mhm.
She just tell me like little horror stories, nothing personal as far as examples. She was just like the person, and they wrote 2 sentences. I'm supposed to give them. How does that work? I'm like, 2 sentences. She's like, yeah.
Right.
And I was like, all right, did they? You can't even break down 2 sentences. Like 2 sentences for us is like introductory sentence. That's not even But for this era, like they bubbles. They fill in bubbles.
Mhm.
And so for them to write, I go now, because I asked the question to another educator, and I think now they count the writing portion of the SAT to kind of bump up their scores, because the reading and math scores are so low, they'll never get into college with, well, a lot of them, just using the reading and the math. So they need the writing to count now. But if you can't write, how does that work? So they take the whole number. It's 2,400 now altogether instead of 16. So they used to only require reading and math, but now they combine all 3. So somebody might have a 900 SAT, but that's all 3 parts. 900 out of 24. That's not a good number. But writing is not required. And here you are, you're visual. You went backwards to go and teach because you got to catch them early. 3rd, 4th, the whole system is geared towards them filling in bubbles and not elaborating. And
they can't even write. They don't even write in script anymore.
Now they they
another
bring it back.
Like I look at my kids and I'll be like, yo, you don't write in cursive? They like, what's that? Well, you just print.
What's cursive?
I'm like, print?
Yeah.
I'm like, you got.
I always ask them, how do you exactly? So I would always ask, how do you sign your name?
Same way, man. They don't. They scribble. Like when I working in college, because I worked in for 12 years, and just seeing how it was, like we have work study students, sign your name. Print and sign your name. When you see the signatures that they do, I said, damn, this is our future, huh? I used to always say that. So I made it my business to talk to these college students, and a lot of them are just there because people told them that they had to be there. But they never got pushed through. They got pushed through. I'm like, yo, how did you graduate? Well, it's no knock on you personally, because I know you want to try, you want to be something.
Right.
You're trying to articulate, and you're dealing with the elementary level, which is where you're supposed to get them. You got to catch them then, because they get broken after that, and you become swamped in the educational matrix, is what I call it, because you're not really supposed to learn. They don't want you to learn because they're being trained to be a worker slave. So we didn't know that. We were coming up. So the IGC classes, or the private school educational system, was set up for us to learn more. Like, yo, we're retaining a lot of information. We're practicing and we're writing. They're not getting that. They don't know what Dewey Decimal System and all that is. Like, we came up in that.
They got a whole different system of doing math.
They got a whole different system.
Like,
math,
they showed them a whole nother way to do fractions and count. Like, I remember, like, me and my wife, we counted on our fingers to do shit. We all do. They got them doing some next shit. You like, what's
they got
this?
Triangles and circles. They on some triangle, circle, lines.
But as you, but Carol, as you being a teacher, how difficult is it for you? I mean, I don't know how your principal is or your administrating, but how much is the administration allowing you to be able to teach the way you want to teach, or is it just like, this is what we want you to do and that's it? Are you able to do what you want to? Are you able to get across, like, yo, I want to be able to input different ways to keep the kids from being bored so they can learn, or it's like, this is what you have to do, get them prepared for the test, and that's it?
It's a combination of both, really, where the focus is getting them prepared to pass those exams. But at first, I didn't know if I was going to be good in 3rd grade, meaning I thought my focus was 6th grade, right, middle school, 6th, 7th, 8th. I get into third grade, and I realize that I can be animated because I wasn't animated in sixth grade. Last year, if I told you I wrote one poem, that was great. I didn't write anything. I had, like, no creative muse, nothing. I get to third grade. I meet the kids. I see that they want to learn. They're scared of math, but like I told them, listen, when I was in third grade, I was scared of math too. And they're looking like, for real? And it's like, okay, well, if Miss Smith was scared and she's not scared anymore, then I don't have to be scared. It's that kind of thing. So I get to be myself. And, yes, they have a curriculum that they want us to follow. But when it comes time to reading, I'm the different voices that they, you know, I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, when can I bring in puppets for the next story that I read? You know what I mean? Like, they did a beautiful thing in saying, yeah, teach third grade. But the end result is going to be that I hope that the kids are inspired enough to be like, that was cool. You know, because, yes, you have an agenda, but I have one too. And mine is to give back what was instilled in me. Because now these kids, I mean, it takes, like I said before, it takes the student, it takes the parents, it takes the teachers. Everybody has to be on board to make sure that these kids get what they need, because we're dealing with a lot of children who don't even have their own, they don't have homes. You know, they're living in shelters and coming to school. Or they're living in situations where you hear and you're just like, oh, my gosh, my heart is breaking. So it's like, all right, if we have to be with these kids 6, 7, 8, 9 hours a day, let's try to balance it, or at least let's create an atmosphere where they look forward to coming in every day and they don't even realize that they're learning as much as they are. Like, I have them learning, I put on Schoolhouse Rock for them to remember what a noun is or a verb, and they're sitting there shaking and singing along with it, and I'm like, good. Because when I did it for sixth grade, they were too cute. You know, Miss Smith, first of all, why does he, this is old. Yeah, but you're not hearing what a noun is. Like, I still sing the little jingle. That's the point of me turning it on so you could see it. The third graders, they got on it right away. They were just like, at the end, they're sitting there singing about nouns. You know, they're singing about verbs. And they're just like, okay, this is cool. It's a cartoon. So they're still in that phase where, like, Corey, what you were talking about before, is the visual. So it's like the visual is fine, but you still have to lay that foundation where they have to read. And it's like, remember what we just saw? It's right here in the book. And they're like, for real, where? I'm loving it. It's challenging, don't get me wrong. It's not a bed of roses, but it's way better than last year.
I mean, I look at it, the situation, I say, you know, you've been through every level of the education system, and I'm glad that you can actually go back and teach at that level, because, you know, personally for me, you know, it's frustrating to try to go back. And first of all, going back in the classroom, that was a no-no. You know, the Department of Education was like, no, fuck you. You're not going in a classroom. You could work in a school, but you're not. Your classroom days is dead. You know, Bobby, on the other hand, he worked in a school, and he was like, nah, I can't do it. Because, you know, they're not even equipped with the basics. So in order for
I was working in high school.
Right. So this is what I'm saying. So in order for you to teach the way that you want to teach, you know, you got to have the passion and everything. So I want to have that. But then when they get to a certain point, let's say they are learning, and you're like, okay, but now you're in elementary school, you know, you got to touch on different things. You know, you get the history. That's where I stumbled. That I used to bump heads with administrators when they got the history. Because I'm like, I'm not teaching them that shit that I learned. I'm not teaching them that Christopher Columbus shit. I'm not doing it. You know, so it was like a lot of politics. You know, do you want these kids to learn or not? And then if you really give a shit, if you really care about the kids, like I know that you do. You know, people like us that grew up in that environment, a learning environment, this is a struggle for us. This type of system is a struggle. So I say that to say that you, being that you are creative, you know, you are a writer, you are a filmmaker, you know, you could actually I don't know, you could do a documentary. You know, like I saw this thing, Waiting for Superman. It was depression. You know, when I saw that, it was inspiring because, you know, people wanted the chance to go, to be in the lottery, to go to this particular, you know, charter school. Oh, it's great. It's going to save your life. And, you know, and then I've seen other follow-ups to the people who won the lottery and they got into these schools and they was getting beat down. They couldn't keep up. The work was like they was bombarding them. Like the school that they was in, the previous 5, 6, 7 years of schooling did not prepare them for the amount of work that they were going to be expected to do. And they was getting killed. You know, so I saw a couple of those. So I watched those, and I was from the outside. But if you take your experience and you put it on film, like I could see that coming from you just based on what I've read from your books. Take away the personal aspect that I know you, but from what I've read and what I've seen get pulled out onto the books, onto the screen. I know you sent me a little a snippet of a documentary that you was working on, and I was like, yo, that was actually good. Like, yo, where's the rest? You know, I was pressing you how you might have pressed me back in the days. Like, yo, what's up? Like, where the rest? You know, so much so where I was considering, you know, going back and like, I want to do a film because I could drag your ass in with me, like you work on the project. That's where my head was, because that's how I felt. You know what I'm saying? Like, because when you get motivated, and then we started talking about it, like, yeah, you should go back and do the filmmaking. I'm like, all right, I got my little snippet, and that's it. I got 2 minutes to hand in. Like, yo, if the committee like it, they like it. If they don't, fuck it. You know, I wasn't supposed to do it. But I know other people that do want to do it. So I always think about you when I think about the filmmaking, because for as good as a director as, you know, we supported Spike Lee. You know, when we was behind him, like he made, you know, he was from Brooklyn, so we was going to support him. But he was good, but I've seen better. And, like, you do some things that he won't. Like, there's Spike-isms in movies. We know he likes the orchestra sounds and slow motion shit, but we don't need that in every movie. Sometimes we just need the real visualization. Like Waiting for Superman was a straight-up documentary where you was either you wanted to see if the person was going to get accepted. And if they didn't, what happened to that kid that got crushed? They was in the lottery and they didn't make it. What happened to that kid? You know, I want to know about that kid. Like, these are the films that can be made, you know, by somebody like you. So I asked you all of that before to say, how do you pick out the kids? How your teacher picked you out early in your elementary school life? How you want to pick them out and they didn't learn how we did? How are you able to do that?
As far as, like, trying to encourage them?
Encouraging them. And there are going to be a kid. There's a kid that's looking at you and saying, she believes in me, and they might be autistic. How do you're not going to always be in elementary school. Like, you know, we're young. Like, you're going to make a film. Like, that's just what it is. Like, you see it. You just need the constant motivation, because if you get in certain situations, man, they can kill your spirit because it's depressing. Educational system is depressing. You worked in college. You know what that is. You was one of the only black professors. You know what that is. Then you getting papers from, you know, black students who they can't write. White students can't write either. But we them. I'm saying us. You can't even write. I'm going, damn. You don't even know how to fill out an application.
Right.
What the fuck is going on? Basic shit. And here we are trying to basically save the world doing basic shit. Yeah, I want to, like me and Rob were talking off air, we want to gentrify, you know, upbring a neighborhood. Bring that shit up. Up the code. And that's a basic, that's a living condition. You know, because the kids are coming to schools from shelters. They're coming hungry. They can't get school supplies. The schools used to provide supplies. Now you want people who live in poverty to buy supplies? Are you
and not just in the beginning of the year. And some parents are able. I just had a disagreement with somebody online with this, because the girl is like, oh, well, that's irrelevant. Like, that's pushing materialistic things, because I think it was Meek Mill just handed out 500 book bags to kids in Philly. Like, his elementary school, he went back and gave each kid a book bag, and it had school supplies and stuff for the year. And she was opposing it. And my thing was, I don't even know his story like that. But to me, that's commendable, because school supplies run out. Last year, I told my kids, I swear y'all eat these pencils. I have 500 pencils in a box the first day of school. By the end of September, I had to go out and buy pencils. And I kept buying pencils all year. So, you know, imagine you have students, and this was before I even knew, you know, certain situations and things like that. I found out, okay, this child, the parent can only afford to get them supplies for the first 3 months. Okay, so I'm going to get composition books. I'm getting, you know, loose leaf paper or whatever. I'm just keeping it in the desk. And when they're gone, I'm swapping stuff out so that they have new supplies, because, you know, sixth grader at that age, you don't want people, oh, you can't afford this, you can't afford that. You don't know how that's going to go. With us, that would make you diss the person back, and that's, you know, or you fight it out. You come back the next day, you're good. These days, you don't know if you're going to make it home. So give them the supply on the low. They don't have to know. They're just like, where'd I get this from? Don't worry about it. Just write. Do what you need to do. You know, information's on the board. But I've been talking about this for like as old as my baby cousin, and I think he's, 22 now? So for 22 years, I've been thinking about this, and it hasn't come to fruition yet, where I wanted to create an arts community center for kids who didn't get into, let's say, LaGuardia, who doesn't go to a performing arts school of any kind, but, you know, they can play an instrument, they can sing, they can dance, they can act, they can write, or they want to write, and they just never had that environment where they could do that. My biggest issue has been trying to figure out where to place this thing. And it wasn't until last year one of our social workers at school said, well, you know, you can be a traveling art center until you figure out if you want it to be in New York or New Jersey or Philly. You can just travel from place to place. And I'm like, you would think I would know that. It never dawned on me that I could actually, you know, I could be like Drama Without Walls or something. Yeah. It never occurred to me, because I figured
that shit away. Yeah, that's a great idea. That's like, you got a whole.
It's funny, because when I used to own group homes, and that's how we did that, and when we did like day have, and it would be without walls, so you would just travel, you know, you would pick them up, we would just take them out all day, take them to places, you know, teach them how to shop, take them, you know, take them to the museum, take them to anything, but it wasn't no walls. It's basically no walls. It's just you know, you're moving the environment for them and teaching. It's like also you teaching them independent living skills and things like that. So, you know, I mean, it's definitely creative. It's just that you have to figure out how you're going to make that work for somebody who wants to play a piano or some shit. Like, we going to go play piano. You know what I'm saying? Where we going to go? Like, if you want to draw and shit like that, then that's different. You can, you know, you can always be like, well, let's go to, you know, we can meet. You know, you could the libraries, but a lot of times, one of the things I did when I was when I had the kids was we also would do shit like we would just rent out a conference room for the day in like a hotel, Holiday Inn, and be like, yo, and we have it for 8 hours, and you have them in there, and you set up, and you have things for them to do, you know, just for the day, just to be fun, bring in lunch, and things like that. You know, that type of thing inspires and goes a long way with kids. Because, you know, one thing I learned working with kids is that they study you. You know, they study you. Like, that's what they do. They don't got nothing better to do. They gonna study you. They gonna watch every move you make, everything you do. You know, Mr. Miller, yo, why you always come like that? Why you always this? Why you always got that on? Why you talk like that? Yeah, I want to, and you know, those things you know that they just notice everything. They know everything. They just watching you and watching you and watching you, and you know, and you realize that okay, I'm inspiring you. You like my thing. You like how I move. You like my style. You like whatever I do. You like how I sound. You know, and they just gravitate to it. And so when you have that type of power over them, and you can get them into a place where you can mold them.
Yeah.
Man, it's a powerful thing. That's why I wanted to teach. You know, I always wanted to teach. I always tell C, yo, I'm fighting, man. I'm like, yo, C, I want to teach. C be like, man, fuck that shit, man. Don't leave that shit alone. You gonna get your ass in trouble. I was like, he said they don't want you in them buildings. I was like, and you know, and it's like, you know, every year I find myself, you know, I get those offers. They come in and they say, yo, we looking for a teacher. I be like, yo, see, New York tell me they sent me a link. They want me to come teach. He's like, yeah, you don't want to do that shit. You don't want to do that shit. You don't want to do that shit. Baltimore, yo, they want you. They need a teacher. Atlanta, they need. But it's like I can't deal with the politics, so I can't do that. So I have to find another way how to be more effective to these kids because I can't help them in schools because I got to deal with politics, and I don't want to. I don't have that in me to deal with that because I'm the type of person that's going to be like, nah, I don't want to do that, and that's going to cause conflict. And they the ones that suffer because that's what happened the last time when I was in a building. You know, they was like, this, but I'm like, I don't do that. That's not what I want to do. Like I don't teach like that. I teach. You know, I'm open with my. That's how I talk. They gravitate to that. That's what they like. I don't do ABC. You know what I'm saying? This is how I move. And the principal's like, well, that's not. You know, we want them to this. And I'm like, man, I don't really care how I'm more concerned about what they learning. I'm not really concerned about them why their pants is hanging off their ass. You know what I'm saying? I'll tell them pull it up, but I ain't gonna babysit them all day. And this is high school. Like, you know what I mean? This is high school. This is a technical school. Why am I babysitting them? I'm just trying to get them to understand what they need to do so they can be better in life. That's what I thought the goal was. But it's really not. That's not the goal. It's a business. You know. It's a business. You know, principals get paid on the head count. So when you figure that out, you like, oh, okay, you know, and shit like that. So
let's throw that number out there. It's like 20,000 a student in high school.
Pretty much. So that's why when you see overcrowded schools, and like for instance out here in Georgia, you'll see they got them in trailers, and you know, and they'll be like, well, because they don't have no more room to build, so they'll go get 5-6 trailers to keep classes in, homeroom, and keep classes in there, and you know, and that's more bread. That's more bread for the principal. You know, they still go just hire another teacher, and you know, teacher ain't gonna make no one make that much money. You know, that's another thing. Like, you know, teaching is a sacrifice. That's a sacrifice. That's not like you know, that's not a beautiful. You know, it's a beautiful thing when you're a teacher and you realize the effect that you're having on a generation and people. But it's not a beautiful job in the eyesight of America. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't respect the teacher. Because why would you have teachers spending their own money when they barely make money to put for supplies and shit like that and do this for and take it? But it's like they're their parent. So they got right there at that time, them 8 hours or 6 hours, 7 hours a day. That's your parent right there. They watching you, making sure you good, you eat, you all right. But I mean, it's rough. I mean, it was just rough. It's rough. And I also find that. Do you see that, like for instance, when you're in elementary school, how many black males are in elementary teaching?
We have.
Like they don't teach. I've never seen a black man teach under 5th grade.
Oh wow! Because he is the 5th grade teacher too. So we have the 5th grade black male teacher. We have the set black male. Wow. Okay, hold on. Let me see who else. Because somebody else is there. Over at middle, we have a lot more than we had last year. I'll say that. So of color, I want to say we have 5 in the building. 6.
How many teachers?
And where you teach at? You teach in Brooklyn?
Yeah. in Brownsville.
That's a lot. That's a lot for one.
So you got 5 black male teachers in Brownsville, Brooklyn, a predominantly black area, and it's like that's what I can never wrap my head around. Is like, why don't they want more black males? And they're like, we can relate to them better than anybody else, especially these kids, these young males. Like
I guess they have to make it appealing to the for the prospective black male teacher. I think there's that part too. You know what I mean? Like maybe in the South it may be different. I don't know. I guess up here they have to come with the bells and whistles. Like, come on, y'all.
No, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like they recruit you. They'll recruit you.
They just don't pick them.
Like listen, like they know who they want. Like they know.
Yeah, that too.
Because like I've been this. Like I said, I was trying to teach for a couple years, and I was just like, you know, and they just kept. And I go in and, you know, I'm sitting there. I ran group homes for over 10 years with juveniles, gang bangers, whatever you want. Mentally, I can teach special ed. I can teach. I can teach behavioral, whatever you need. That's me. I'm like, here I am. I got a degree. I got a master's. Here I am. You don't want me? Why you don't want me? They don't want you. They don't. Nah, you know. And then somebody told me to put me to the side and said, "Man, you too raw. You not controllable.
you too hip-hop, brother.
You're not controllable. Like you're not a person that they can control because you know the kids. Even when I was in high school teaching, you can tell the other teachers was like they felt the way because the kids didn't listen to them like the way they listened to me.
Like they were shook.
They wasn't shook. They just respected me. You know what I'm saying?
I'm talking about the teachers was shook.
But the kids loved me. Like, you know what I'm saying? My wife was amazed because the kids would work in the supermarkets and they see me in there, they be in the aisle, they be like, oh, that's Mr. Miller. Yo, Mr. Miller, what's up, yo? You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, you know, my kids like, yo, you should teach, Dad. All the kids love you when you coach basketball. They love you. But, you know, I'm just like, I don't feel like, I don't know, I just don't feel like I'm accepted in there. So it's like, you know, and it's going to be a hard because they're going to scrutinize me more than they probably would anybody else because of how I am. And you know, and I guess it's like, I can't tone nothing. I can't really, like, if you know me, you know I'm toned down a lot. Like, you know, this is tone. Because catch me back in the 90s, I was like, you know, I'm a live wire. So now it's like I'm really calm. You know, I'm chill. You know, I can kick it with the kids. I can talk to them, keep it. You know, but I don't feel like, you know, they don't respect. They don't respect in education wise. I don't think they don't understand the value of the black man in the educational system, especially in urban schools.
You know, they don't. So they're not.
Like, but you know,
years ago I went for a program. I went for a physical education teacher. That was one of the areas that they was trying to hire. Physical ed, special ed. So now I went for physical education. Went to this workshop. You know, the whole thing, all of that. We was doing what they call those when you do the sample teaching, the sample lesson plan. Did that.
For the demo lesson.
Yeah.
The demo lesson. Went through all of that. You know, went on a Saturday. 5 hours we was up in that piece. So it was me. I was the only black person. It was, you know, they had, you know, Spanish speaking, the Mexican, people from you know, Asia, India, all that. Everybody was in there. I was the only black person in my group of people that was giving demos. So, and also one of the older ones. But I'm like, yo, you see my background? Like, I got a master's. I did sports. Like, I'm in college right now. Like, how do I not become a physical education teacher? Like, y'all bugging right now. Like, y'all going to take this dude. Like, this dude can't control nothing. Like, it was dudes. Because they had kids that was part of the demo. Like, they had actually students that was in there. And it's like, yo, they flock to you because, one, you real, right? You've been through the experience that they're going through. Like a 15, 16, 17-year-old, there is nothing that they're going through that I haven't seen or been a part of, or had somebody that was with me that was a part of it. So the black male experience, they don't want that part in the school because it's like they want the kids to fail. That has nothing to do with women teachers. That has nothing to do with that. Because one thing is for sure, you know, I only had like one or two from grades K to 8. Grades 1 to 8. I only had 2 black male teachers. So my favorite teachers, they were mostly women because they see something. They nurture, they inspire, they get on your ass. They don't play. You know, so my parents respected teachers like that. Don't take it easy on him. Push him. They would push. So then when I did get my first black male teacher in 7th grade, you know, he used to wear the tight gabardines. He looking like Tyler Perry. You know, not with the dress and all that, but, you know, tight sweaters and shit. You know, and I'm hip-hop, I'm urban. Dude is getting robbed outside, you know, for their sneakers. And I'm like, so I'm in junior high school, 7th grade. I'm on the ball team, so, you know, it's a different stature. I'm like, yo, I know how to do all that already. I'm not even trying to hear you, dude. Like, you not who I was coming up around. So it was like push and pull, fight, you know. My favorite teacher in junior high school was the typewriter teacher. You know, I'll never forget her name, Miss Diamond. She was like, yo, you're going to have to learn how to type. We moving to electronics. I was like, type? She's like, that 2-finger thing you doing? I know you pretty fast. That ain't working for me. She said, put your fingers on them keys, boy. ASDEF. I was like,
yup.
What? 4 fingers? I said, come on, Miss Diamond. She used to be on my ass. Now, granted, I got through middle school. When I went to college, I went back to my 2-finger shit, but at least I knew how she. But she saw something. She's like, I'm not gonna let you slip, and that's what you need. But the black male teacher, nah, they ain't trying to have that. So it's non-existent. I'm talking about nationwide. The nationwide, they not having it because the bottom line is they want us to fail and not have that that structure. It's you see how the all right, Cal, you see how the boys are. They got a different energy in elementary. Like, you know, as a matter of fact, it could be argued that in 4th and 5th grade, those grades, 3rd, 4th, 5th, that the boys are still kind of developing and they're kind of like their strength level isn't up there. And 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade girls, they'll knock a dude out. Like, y'all, I don't know, y'all develop quicker for real. Yeah. I've seen it. Yeah, you push a boy, he stumble and shit. Like, I've seen it. Like, hey, how you pushing that boy like that? I didn't even touch him. I'm like, like Rob said, like, we out and about. I've had students, hey, what's up, Mr. G? I'm like, oh, shit, yeah, what's up? You know, they see you outside of your element, outside of school, that they see you, you know, you got on, you know, urban clothes. Yeah, I got a hoodie on. Yeah, I got on Deodoras or something, Adidas. Okay, I see you. I'm like, and then when they see you in the work environment, shoes, I see you know how to put the game. I said, this is a professional setting. That's a comfortable setting. Yeah. I can do both. I can be comfortable in here too. But I don't want to dress like y'all because I already look young like y'all. So I don't want y'all to get it twisted to think that y'all can talk to comfortably. Because as I told one of the kids one day, I was like, yo, don't make me take you outside on Adams Street and show you what it really is. You in college for a reason. You made it here. You don't want to get suspended. You don't want to get kicked out of college. And he was from a West Indian background. I said, I bet you your parents don't even know you be cutting up in here like that. I'm gonna go in your school file. I'm gonna get your mama number. I'm gonna tell her you be cutting up. I bet you she come up there and bust your ass. Yeah. From that day on, he chilled the fuck out. Especially with the Africans. I was like, yo, you supposed to be a 3.5 student. So
why you stereotyping that mother? Why you stereotyping?
Yo, you know why? I just stereotyping, right? But then I saw his transcript, dog. He was like a 3.3. He was worried about taking his transcript home. Like, yeah, I messed up in this math class, man. My pops won. I said, what did you get? I got a C+. And he was like, yeah, my pops gonna be on my ass. I was like, your grade point average is 3.3. He was like, nah, this is math. You know, so he was really. I said, man, just take your grades home, and you got a 3.3. Like, you tell your pops you struggled. I ain't gonna tell him you was up here playing Madden, you know, for 3 periods out of the day. I ain't getting involved in that. I got the video game out and shit. Like, you know, I guess I was enabling. But that was part of the program.
So basically, it was really your fault.
Yeah, I put it They like the video game.
Your fault. You got the Madden out for 3 periods. You see them sit there for 3 periods. You ain't told go to class.
Hey, that's
you ain't told go to class.
I did. Well, what I'm going to do, make you go? I'm going to call public safety on you?
No, you be like, yo, you take this Madden stick from him and be like, all right, who got next, man? Get out of here.
Yeah, they signed the list, though. So you know how that shit goes. It's all structured. Sign the list, you got to play.
Yo,
I'm like, yo, you go to class, come back.
So
they don't want us.
We ain't go. We know you got to get up in the morning, Carolyn. So we ain't gonna hold you.
Yeah, we wanted to give you.
We appreciate you coming on the show and just giving your views and expanding. I mean, shit, I learned a lot about you. I knew you for a minute. Now I learned. I didn't even know you was this artistic.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah, I learned a lot, man. Like this,
but yeah,
you kind of deep there, sister. You be holding a lot in.
I know.
So let me. All right, so I'm gonna ask you this question. Let me ask you a question. So when you watch a certain movie, you watch like these movies, and they be playing music in the background. You be crying and shit. Like a tear might come to your corner of your eye. Cause you that deep. You that artistic people. They tear up over certain scenes in movies. Like. You be catching the feeling?
For Best Man Holiday, it never fails. But was like on a regular basis, I watched Little House on the Prairie, right? Grew up watching it. I could watch it as a kid and good. There were like maybe 3 episodes, like the last episode when they blew up the whole town, I'm crying because it's over. I kid you not. Every time I watch Little House on the Prairie, now I'm straight bawling. I was just like, what is this? Like the episode came on the other day because I had like DVR it. So Albert died. I never saw that episode before. And I'm just like, oh, nobody told me. Nobody prepared me. I'm there like just crying like that straight, like getting tissue and everything, bawling like he was related to me. I was like, what is this? I could watch that show back in the day, no problem. Turn it on now?
Yeah, I asked because I see your posts sometimes. You post on social media, and when This Is Us was coming on.
Oh, my gosh.
Listen. And I said, I don't want no parts of that. I don't want no parts of that. So I stayed straight gritty. Like, I was glad Wu-Tang came on.
No, but you have to get into it. You have to watch it, Steve.
Nah,
you have until, I think it comes when, the 24th? No, you've got to watch it. This Is Us is ridiculous.
I can't.
You can sit there like, all right.
I'm
you
from
all
the
hard, like,
era.
I'm good, and then you just start crying.
I need documentaries now. Let me hear how hip hop started. Hip hop evolution, shit like that. I can't do the whole violin in the background. I skip right past all Lifetime movies all the time.
Oh, I don't even mess with Lifetime like that.
Yeah, I can't mess with none of them channels. Like, okay, I did watch, who was that? Underground? Oprah Winfrey did that show, right? They needed to bring that back. I think it was Underground. Yeah,
I think you need a balance. Sometimes you got to let it out,
Balance. I watched Candle.
You watch who?
Candles and
I'm like,
all right, How to Get Away with Murder?
Who's crying at How to Get Away with Murder?
Yeah, I tried to watch that. I couldn't get into it. But I'm just bringing out all these artistic things, because I know that that's what you are. And I'm looking forward to seeing some more of your projects. And we're definitely going to
definitely.
interview
Thank you.
on Patreon, which you are a member. of patriarchy. That's another thing. Well, we try to put our people out there, for the interviews, because we only interview people that actually inspire and do great things. And no, they don't have 1 million followers, but they actually are making an impact in the lives of the people that they. So that's where we are with men, and that's where we are taking it. So for you to, be a member and, you're getting interviewed also because of what you've done and what you're going to do, it's a great thing. So, this definitely will be on there. But hey, for us, we post clips online because we're not giving away all your greatness. People want to see your greatness or hear your greatness. Let them subscribe. They subscribe to all this other stuff that ain't teaching them nothing. And this interview right here, you could teach a whole generation just based on what you said, what you've been through, what you've done, and what you are. So, and look, you had transferred from the school and shit. We didn't even know, until after. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just like that.
Know that. I'm still trying to recall '93. I seen it in John J. I'm like,
I was like, Carol was right. Carol over in the T building.
I'm like, I swore she was still in the damn building. I didn't even know she left. Son. I'm still like,
oh no!
I know I was there for like 2 more years, and I'm like, I swore I seen her every damn day. I didn't know she was gone. Cause I turn around and she be there. I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay, you definitely left. That's what I'm sitting there like, she left. I guess so.
So you got any social media sites you want people to follow you on? Website, anything? You got anything that you want?
Instagram. That's really become my friend. So if they, what's my name on there? C.author C. You'll see stuff. Like, that's where I am my best. Facebook to me is just, I keep Facebook because all of my elementary school friends are on there. So when they all move over to Instagram, then I no longer have to be on Facebook. But that's where they are. I am blessed to be able to reconnect with them. So, but Instagram is where I'll post, even though you'll see more memes than you see pictures. I'm a lot more artistic over there because I don't know, it's just a different vibe to me. So
it's definitely a different vibe. It's definitely a different vibe on that platform. I actually like that platform. I don't post as much as I post a lot now. But on Facebook, I kind of like antagonize and just like push buttons, just because, like fuck it, like you don't want to hear this shit. I'm telling you anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, but on Instagram, it's more like, hey, what's up, y'all? This for my peoples. When in actuality, Instagram would be where you want to push buttons, but it's not that type of vibe. So it's different. I don't know. So any YouTube pages, none of that, because.
No. Actually, I've become more of a hermit. I really need to be extroverted. I have to get out of this funk that I'm in, like, socially. So I need to, like, expand and do stuff. I just haven't been creative all last year, and that's really affected me to the point where I'm just like, after speaking to you guys, though, I am motivated to go write some ideas down because I didn't have any. So all of last year I was struggling with, why do I even want to make a film? Because my thing is documentaries, and that's really what I was going to go to film school for back in the day when documentaries were not popular, because I felt like it was more important to get the story from people as opposed to, and I don't mind doing like dramas and stuff like that, but documentaries were closer to me than anything else. So last year was all about, like, why did I even think I was going to be a filmmaker? And I don't have any ideas. And all my other friends that are getting into film, and they're like, Carol, come and check this out. And I'm watching their stuff, and I'm like, oh, my goodness, this is so cool. And then I'd be motivated for all of 2 seconds. But this year, going into next year, really, I promised myself that even if it's just taking my phone and filming one of the ideas, if that's what I have to do to jumpstart everything, then I guess that's what I'm going to have to do. Because I hate having all these ideas like in books, and I go back and I'm like, oh, wow, I wrote that 10 years ago. So I got to get back on it.
You got to lay the film game down because you are a filmmaker. Like, you're a great writer, but you are a film person. So we can get together on some projects, you know, because
definitely,
you got to bounce the ideas
just
around.
Talking to you and just hearing the things that you do, I got things I would love to bounce off you and a couple of projects and see where they may go. I got definitely one in mind, and I'm gonna definitely tap in with you. And you got Rob ready to tap in with you. We talk like almost every day. He ain't bouncing shit off of me, okay? About shit. We talk about a lot of shit, but it's this certain shit like I ain't fucking with Steve with that shit. Because Steve's more of my, this is 30 years of friendship. So this is, he's more of my business partner than anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've been this way since 30 years, from 89. This has been how we've been. But, I got a project that I think that, maybe you can help. It's not really my project. It's more my wife's project. And I think she could just use maybe some help and direction and how to get it done, because it's you know what I'm saying, about a story, about her story and what she, and what she's been through. And I think,
Carol, you got to do that. You got to do that.
I think it would be something where you can, where your voice, your creativity, maybe your vision can help and bring that to light. You know what I'm saying? And I think it would be a great project. Just hearing how you do, and being that I know you, I feel good about putting that idea to you and seeing if we can make come out of that.
Yo, that's a great fucking idea, man. Like, yo, gotta make that happen. No, seriously, because I know what he's talking about. Yo, yeah, Carol, you gotta do that. You have to do that. Damn, I can see that shit right now. Yeah, I can see it too. I would love to see that. So you need motivation? Link them up, because
definitely.
That's what we try to do, man. We do that.
I'm gonna hit you with her page on the gram, and you can start following her, and you could get from there. But then we'll tap in and we can chat. We can talk again and give you a better picture and let you know what you're trying to do. All right, and see what you can do.
Hey, Carol, ask anybody if they could afford $5 a month. That since you can, ask them if they could do it, and then they could.
Okay.
We got to build something. No, seriously, because this is how it is. Like, Netflix, everybody pay $8 a month, and sometimes
I pay $12.99. That $8 shit been gone.
Because you got two. Well, you big balling. You got two TVs on it. I got one. Shit. I got to unplug shit to go on my other TV. But let's do that, because this is the only way that we can grow. Like, we can't give out free information anymore, but also breaking nobody. But if you want to learn, you'll come to this platform, because we just got a lot of stuff going on. Like, even the film that you make with his wife, that, like, oh man, I could see that right there. But we glad that you got you on. I knew we kept you up past your bedtime.
Yes, we glad to have you on.
Did. But I'm so glad that you was able to lock in, and you could come back, whenever you want. But
yes,
thank you guys for having me.
No problem.
Thank y'all for even thinking. I mean, when y'all sent the emails, the text messages, I was like, what? An interview? Okay. And I wasn't in that frame of mind. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate both of you.
No problem.
I'm
cracking up because I'm like, Rob is still like, Carol transferred. Well, y'all learn something new every day, right?
Yes.
And
So,
yeah, we learned something about you, and hey, you know what? This is a great interview for you because you were able to tell your story. That's basically what this is about. So yeah, we look forward to working on some future projects.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. So
definitely.
Hey, the Grumpy Men, thegrumpymen.com. Get your apparel. 2 Grumpy Men. We in the building. Special guest, the enigmatic, extraordinary author, filmmaker, writer, teacher, Carol Smith. We out of here. The Grumpy Men. We gone. Peace.
Peace.